Hi, my name is Kelsey, and I wanted to talk to you about a unit of study that I've developed using different versions of Cinderella. So I wanted to show you what I accomplished and how you could take it and do different things with it, how you can extend the activity, and go from there. I used various different versions of Cinderella, and there are several to choose from. These come from various schools in the Richardson School District. I used the Cinderella book in blue there. It's one of the closest to the original that kids know. And then I used several others here. When I was doing this activity, I read the Cinderella book to them, and I read the Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters to the kids to model how to take notes when we read, to model how we take notes on the most important things that impact the plot line, and then really took the chance to talk to them about what events are not important, what details are not important to the plot line, and then being able to help the kids move forward and identify those when they have to do it themselves. I am a big proponent of thinking maps for brainstorming or taking notes. One of the ways I find that I like to take notes for various books is a circle map that's cut in half. I had the children make 2 of these, and since we're studying various versions of Cinderella, our topic goes in the middle, and I had them write the title of each book off to the side here. I wanted them to make 2 because as we read the book and I modeled writing down notes, the kids were going to run out of room, and I wanted them to be able to see that from the beginning of Cinderella, the plot line goes along, and I wanted them to be able to see beginning of both books and moving on. For some students or some classes, it was important that I modeled how to take notes or how to show that the pumpkin turns into something else. So I have 2 different versions that I used for 2 different classes. When we were taking notes about Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters, there are 2 sisters, and I had the students make a T-map to write down the different decisions that each daughter made. So as we read the book, I let them know which map we were going to be on. If it was going to be the circle map, which was more for plot line, or if we were on the T-chart to write down the decisions that each sister made. Once we had completed this, I wanted to follow up with the students regarding the main ideas and those big details that really impact the plot line. We started with the climax, the falling action, and the resolution, and we worked backwards from there. I found that one of the hardest things for the kids was to do the rising action, so if we started backwards, they were able to fill in the events that led to the climax. Once the kids had all of this done, I had them read various versions of Cinderella by themselves, and they completed additional circle maps for 1 or 2 more books by themselves. So now it was their turn to show what they knew. Once they had completed that, I wanted them to show me that they could integrate the information using compare and contrast. We talked about doing different compare and contrast maps. For a lot of my students this time, they wanted to try a T-map that gave differences and similarities. So my example is showing a version of a T-map that allows the children to really look at the unique events for each book and then the similarities that took place. Once they did that, I had the students utilize a framework to outline how to make a 4-paragraph essay. We talked about making sure that we've named the books and that we are telling our reader that we are going to talk about the similarities and differences. We worked through transition words for each paragraph and then how our topic sentence wanted to be. On the 1, 2, and 3, the students did those all by themselves. And we made sure to really talk about how the differences led to our ability to really work with complex sentences, since we are going to show that in one book, the sisters traveled to a city versus in the other book, Cinderella went to the ball. Then we discussed what a conclusion can be, and the students were set off to do that. Once they completed that, I had them glue on a piece of paper and color code so they really understood that each specific box and color coded area is one paragraph. Here are just some various versions of different maps that kids have done in their writing. These are the T maps. These are the double bubble maps from Thinking Maps. The middle, in between the two books, here are the similarities, and then off to the outside are the differences for each book. I also let kids use the Venn diagram if they were more comfortable with that. Students took the time to create their framework and then glue that on the back, and I've displayed either the front side or the back side to show off examples in the classroom. An extension activity, if you had time for this, would be to have children write their own fairy tale and allow their imagination and creativity to come into play. So you could have them create, once they've done all of this, a different spin off of Cinderella. And that will be our next activity for this. If a student is really wanting to do a different sort of fairy tale, it would need to be a different version of that fairy tale. So it would allow children to have choice. If they weren't a fan of Cinderella, they could do Little Red Riding Hood or a different fairy tale that they enjoy, and then you would walk them through the writing process. So this is really integrating reading and writing together, combining units of study, and really allowing us to really focus on the elements of fiction, and then showing the kids how those elements of fiction play into their own writing and allow them creativity to write their own fairy tale.